On the morning of August 19th, 2022, Jetal Agnihotri drove into Zion for a Friday hike. She was 29. She lived in Tucson. She did not know how to swim. By 2:15 that afternoon, the canyon had her. It happens here. It happened in 1961. It happened in 1998. It happened in 2014. It happened in 2015, twice on the same afternoon, one town over from itself. It happened again in 2022. It will happen this year. It will not stop happening. The most photographed slot canyon in America is also the one that fills like a bathtub, under blue sky, in minutes. That is the paradox. The Narrows is Zion's most popular hike. Keyhole Canyon is rated a beginner slot. Roughly 4.5 to 5 million people walk into Zion every year. The National Park Service says the park averages 1 to 2 flash floods per year. The National Weather Service calls Zion one of the most warned areas in the entire state. Nobody is hiding this. 3 things this video will do. Show you the exact geometry that turns a routine desert shower into a wall of water. Walk you through the 15 minutes on September 14th, 2015 that killed 7 trained canyoneers holding a valid permit. And hand you the rules professional guides use to cancel a trip. The ones that would have kept every name in this video alive. Start with the shape. Zion sits on the edge of a high plateau. The rock is Navajo sandstone. Pale. Bare. Almost non-absorbent. When rain hits it, the rain does not soak in. It sheets off. It moves. The North Fork of the Virgin River drains 344 square miles of that plateau. 344 square miles of stone that behaves like a parking lot. All of it feeds one channel. The channel narrows. It narrows until the walls are 20 to 30 feet apart. At the reach called Wall Street, the walls are closer together than a school bus is long. And they are 1,000 to 1,500 feet tall. In places, close to 2,000. A funnel. The mouth is huge. The throat is a keyhole. Water has nowhere to go but up. That is the whole trick. You will not see the storm that kills you. The Park Service says this in writing. Flash floods here happen, quote, even with sunny skies overhead. They are, quote, often caused by storms miles away. A half inch of rain on a plateau you cannot see, from a cell you cannot hear, can fill a slot canyon while you are standing in warm sunlight. On September 14th, 2015, one storm system killed people at 2 different locations about 15 miles apart. Neither group could see the other's storm. There is a season for this, roughly July through the middle of September. Meteorologists call it the North American monsoon. High pressure parks east of Utah. Deep moisture pumps north. The desert bakes all day. The air rises. Slow, wet, isolated thunderstorms fire in the afternoon. A single cell can dump half an inch to an inch on one plateau in under an hour. The plateau next to it stays dry. The canyon floor below stays sunny. The water still comes. The numbers. September 14th, 2015. Late afternoon. Between 4:30 and 5:30, Zion Canyon receives 63 hundredths of an inch of rain, just over half an inch, in under 1 hour. The USGS gauge on the North Fork near Springdale, station 094-05500, on record since 1913, reads 55 cubic feet per second. Ankle deep. Walkable. A normal Narrows day. 15 minutes later, the same gauge reads 2,630 cubic feet per second. 55 to 2,630. 15 minutes. The sobering part. A peak of 2,630 on the North Fork is not a 100-year flood. It is not a freak. On average, that number recurs about once every 3 years. This was not the Bible. This was Tuesday. The force. The Park Service does not soften it. 6 inches of water can knock a person off their feet. 12 to 24 inches can pick up a vehicle and carry it away. A wall of water and debris can rush down the canyon 12 feet high or more. And in a slot, that water is not clean. It carries logs, boulders, gravel, whole cottonwood trees ripped from banks miles upstream. The Park Service is blunt about the cause of death. Quote, death most often occurs by blunt force trauma from rocks and debris in the water. You do not drown. You are hit. You cannot outrun this. The Park Service says that too, in exactly those words. You can't outrun a flash flood. The front moves faster than a person can wade upstream against a knee-deep current. In a true slot, the walls are vertical. No holds. No ledges wide enough. A person on a small ledge 4 feet up is still under the water. There is nowhere to go. Every morning, the National Weather Service and the Park Service publish a single number at Zion. 4 levels. It sits on a board at the wilderness desk. Not expected. Possible. Probable. Expected. Professional guides cancel or move to a dry canyon at probable. Sometimes at possible. Amateurs walk right past the board. When the National Weather Service issues an actual flash flood warning, the park closes the canyons outright. The Narrows shuts. The technical routes shut. People go in anyway. On September 14th, 2015, the warning went up at 2:22 in the afternoon. That morning, 7 friends from Southern California picked up their canyoneering permit at 7:40. They called themselves the Valencia Hiking Crew. 6 of the 7 had taken a half-day introductory canyoneering course through a local outfitter. They had planned Keyhole for months. Keyhole is a beginner canyon on paper. Under 2 miles round trip, 1 to 2 hours, 4 rappels, the longest about 30 feet. Cold standing water even in summer. Top down only. Once you drop in, there is no going back. Only forward. 7:40 a.m. Permit issued. 2:22 p.m. Flash flood warning issued. Canyons close. Between 3:30 and 4:30 p.m., the 7 enter Keyhole. 4:30 p.m. Rain begins. Zion Canyon takes 0.63 of an inch in the next hour. Around 5 p.m., water enters Keyhole. It moves at the speed of gravity through a stone tube 20 feet wide. There is no climb out. There are no side canyons. There is only the next rappel. 5:30 p.m. The North Fork gauge peaks at 2,630 cubic feet per second. That evening, a ranger notices a car in the lot that has not moved. The 7 have not returned. They will never return under their own power. Over the next 3 days, more than 60 searchers from multiple agencies log over 1,100 hours in the recovery. By September 17th, all 7 bodies are out. Mark McKenzie, 56, of Valencia, California. Steve Arthur, 58, of Camarillo, a Ventura County Sheriff's Sergeant. Linda Arthur, 57, of Camarillo, Steve's wife. Gary Favela, 51, of Rancho Cucamonga. Don Teichner, 55, of Mesquite, Nevada. Muku Reynolds, 59, of Chino. Robin Brum, 53, of Camarillo. They had a permit. They had a course. They had experience. They had each other. They had none of the things that mattered. They had a canyon that closed at 2:22, and they walked in after 3:30. If the places most people plan to walk into are the reason you check the weather twice, that is what this channel is for. The objections. Because you have been listening, and part of you has been sorting the dead into categories that do not include you. They were technical canyoneers. You would only hike the Narrows. July 28th, 1998. Ramsey Algan, 27, of Long Beach. Paul Garcia, 31, of Paramount, California. Day hikers in the Narrows. Not a slot, not a rappel, not a wetsuit. That afternoon, on the North Fork, the river rose about 3 feet in minutes. Flow jumped from roughly 110 cubic feet per second to 740, 7 times in the time it takes to check your phone. Both men were swept away. Both drowned. Neither was underground. Neither was on a rope. You would only go with a partner. September 27th, 2014, Douglas Yoshi Vo, 34, of Westminster, California. Vo and a male companion enter the Narrows in the morning. Rain begins around 9:30. The river rises fast. The 2 men are separated by the flood. Not lost from each other, visible to each other. Opposite banks of a river, now too dangerous to cross. They stay there, in view of one another, for roughly 6 hours. The companion eventually swims out. He reaches a ranger station by evening. Because the river is still lethal, rangers wait until the next day. They find Douglas Vo's body around 2 p.m., near the riverside walk end of the Narrows. He had a partner. He had a plan. He had a plan for a river that no longer existed. You would go only in summer, in the dry hours, when the sky is clean. August 19th, 2022. That is a dry, clean Friday in Tucson. The forecast in Zion mentions afternoon thunderstorms, the way it does most of the summer. Nothing alarming. Around 2:15, a storm drops roughly 1 inch on the plateau above the Narrows. A flash flood sweeps multiple hikers off their feet in shallow water they had been standing in a minute earlier, in the paved section. In the wide lower stretch near the Temple of Sinawava, the section you can reach in flip-flops. Jetal Agnihotri, 29, of Tucson, is reported overdue that evening. Her brother tells searchers she did not know how to swim. More than 170 responders searched the river over the next 4 days. Her body is found the following Monday, about 6 miles downstream, near the Court of the Patriarchs. 6 miles. In a canyon most people describe as a walk. You would never be in a canyon at all. Same day as the Keyhole 7, September 14th, 2015. Same storm system. About 15 miles away, in a small border town called Hildale, 2 vehicles pull up to a low crossing on Highway 59. They are waiting to cross. The wall of water hits the crossing. Both vehicles are swept down the channel. 13 people die. Show me the photographs of that afternoon and you will not see the water. You will see a van door hanging open in red mud. A shoe. A water line halfway up the side of a house. Rescuers' hands. Somebody's laundry still on a line. The deadliest natural disaster day in Utah history. 20 dead across 2 locations. Almost all of them in ordinary vehicles, on an ordinary road, on an ordinary Monday afternoon. You would never be in a canyon at all. You will be near one, on a road, in a town you drove through to reach the trailhead. Same storm, same water, different address. Return to that Friday in 2022. The same flood that carried Jetal Agnihotri caught someone else. Her name is Amy Watson. Coverage did not release her age or her hometown. What it did release was the story. Watson is hiking the Narrows on August 19th, 2022. The wall of water lifts her off her feet in the wide lower stretch of the canyon. It carries her downstream, a half mile, maybe more. On the bank, a man named Nathan Hendrick is hiking with his son. He sees her swept past. He realizes something specific and useful. He cannot beat the water in the water. He can only beat it on foot. He runs along the bank, past bystanders, past benches, past the paved trail, aiming for the next low point in the river where the current might slow. First attempt. A small group of strangers reaches for her. They graze her fingers. The water carries her past them. He runs again, further downstream, screaming for help. Roughly 8 strangers link arms into a human chain. The man at the front stands neck deep in a raging, debris-choked river. Together, they reach her. Together, they hold her. Together, they pull her to shore. Alive. The reason Amy Watson lived and Jetal Agnihotri died is not skill. It is not fitness. It is not preparation. It is geometry. Watson was flushed into the wide, lower Narrows, where there was a bank to run along, low points, bystanders, benches. Agnihotri was too, briefly. Then the river carried her past all of them. In a true slot, Keyhole, Upper Narrows, Wall Street, there is no bank, no low point, no chain to form. There is only the canyon and the water and the decision to be there. The margin between the 2 women that afternoon was roughly 1 mile of geometry and about 60 seconds. Here's what will keep you alive. All of it comes from professional guides, park rangers, and the coroner's records above. None of it is optional. 1. Before you go, check the daily flash flood potential rating for Zion. It is posted at the Wilderness Desk and on the Weather Service page. 4 levels. Not expected, possible, probable, expected. If it says probable or expected, do not enter a slot canyon. Do not enter the Narrows. Guides cancel at those levels. You should too. 2. If a flash flood warning is active, the canyons are closed. Closed means closed. The Keyhole 7 entered after a warning. 7 died. 3. Watch the flow number. The bottom-up Narrows day hike closes above 150 cubic feet per second. The top-down route closes above 120. Normal walkable flow is roughly 40 to 120. If the sign at the trailhead says the river is above the threshold, the answer is no. Not later, no. 4. Watch the sky in every direction, not just above you. A blue sky over your head means nothing about the plateau 10 miles upstream. If you see a distant thunderhead building over any part of the horizon during monsoon season, July through the middle of September, turn around. 5. Watch the water. If the color changes from clear to brown or red, that water has picked up sediment from a canyon somewhere upstream that just flooded. If the sound of the river changes, if you hear a low rumble that was not there, you have 30 seconds to a few minutes, not more. 6. If you are caught, get high, fast. Any elevation is better than none. Drop your pack. A heavy pack is what pins you against a rock. Face upstream. Brace for debris. Do not try to swim across the channel. Move perpendicular to the flow if you can. Get out on the same side you were already on. 7. Tell someone your plan, where you are going, when you will be back. Every rescue in this video started with somebody noticing a car in a lot that had not moved. 8. If you cannot swim and you plan to hike the Narrows, understand what that means. The Narrows is a hike in the river, not next to it. The river is the trail. Ankle deep on a good day, overhead in 15 minutes on a bad one. That is the list. It fits on an index card. It has fit on an index card for decades. It is not new information. It is the information the dead did not use. Zion averages 1 to 2 flash floods a year. Roughly 4.5 to 5 million people walk in every year. The Weather Service calls it one of the most warned areas in the state. The math is not hidden. It is printed on every trailhead board. The canyon does not chase you. It does not have to. It waits. It has waited for 100,000 years. It watched 5 people die in 1961. It watched 2 die in 1998, 1 in 2014, 7 in 2015, 13 more the same afternoon, one town over. And on August 19th, 2022, in shallow water where children had been splashing an hour earlier, it took Jetal Agnihotri. She was 29. She lived in Tucson. She did not know how to swim. She had not planned for a canyon full of water. She had planned for a hike. The Court of the Patriarchs is a well-known viewpoint in Zion. It is on the shuttle route. Any tourist has probably stopped there. It is 6 miles downstream from the Temple of Sinawava. The canyon carried her the full length of the tourist section, past every viewpoint on the shuttle map, in less than a day. The canyon will still be there next monsoon. It will fill again. Somebody will walk in during the 15 minutes it takes to fill. That person will have read everything in this video. They will walk in anyway. The canyon does not care whether you subscribe. It really doesn't. It has never cared about anything. But if you don't, and next monsoon it takes another one, we won't be here to say the name. And the canyon, frankly, does not need the help.